Our first visit to West End Studios where Billy G was recording. So much for glamour. Some studios, like Real World and Abbey Road, have got it. And some, some haven't. I need not have worried about the Granimobile letting the side down. This was nothing more than an anonymous building on a run-down red brick industrial estate. Above the expensively designed logo mounted on the front of the building saying that we were indeed at West End Studios was a large number 11, pointing out this was really just the 11th unit on the estate. Number 10 was an international freight business, and number 9 a stationery business. I could have been coming to buy car spares rather than going to meet Billy G.
The tragedy of England is the tragedy of ugliness,
the vicar quoted from God knows where.
Ugliness, ugliness, ugliness. Ugly surroundings, ugly ideals, ugly religion, ugly hope, ugly love, ugly clothes, ugly furniture, ugly houses, and now ugly industrial estates.
The front door was completely blocked by 2 large security guards. The one furthest away from us was being pummeled by a blonde-haired woman wearing a jacket with no meat, no man emblazoned across the back.
"But you've got to let me in," she was screaming. "Do you know who wrote her latest hit? Me, that's who. She fucking stole it. I just want to look her in the eyes and laugh. Life owes me that. Take your hands off my jacket, you tosser."
Must be scary to be stalked by people like that. Completely mad. I mean, even my auntie knows that Billy G and Emma didn't write their own songs. They're all written by these 2 guys, Gaydon and Broom.
"I'm sorry, sir," the other security guard said as we approached him. "No one gets in the building without a pass. Absolutely no exceptions."
He'd obviously had a long day and had probably heard every excuse going. Members of the family, former employees, royalty, US presidential staff, astronauts, public health inspectors, rodent exterminators, the lot. The 2 guys were frigging enormous. Absolutely square, as wide as they were tall. Not so much brick shithouses as the entire toilet block. Where do security firms get these freaks from? I hadn't seen men this big since the last time when I was thrown out of the girls' changing rooms at Wimbledon. There was going to be no way past them without a pass. It seemed that we would have to wait for our meeting with Billy G. The vicar had no such doubts.
"Absolutely right," he said graciously to the guard. "The last thing that Billy G needs now,"
he looked over his shoulder at the demented woman in the jacket,
"is unauthorised visitors, or, even worse, members of the press. Fortunately, gentlemen, I am a current employee, and do indeed have a pass. I am Billy G's sound engineer, at your service."
And he produced a laminated access all areas pass for Billy G, complete with her logo and his photograph. The guard examined it and stepped aside. "Where on earth," I began as the vicar pushed open the glass door and walked into the small lobby area. "Isn't that illegal?" I carried on as I realised that this pass must be the result of his work on his computer.
"Why?"
he asked, as if shocked at the suggestion.
"Am I not her sound engineer? And do I not have access all areas? Her manager would be happy to confirm it. As well you know, it simply saved an unnecessary waste of time standing outside making phone calls. Split spot, best foot forward."
We entered the building, and it was in turmoil. The receptionist was being hassled by 2 pretentious young arseholes. Little greenhorns, as they call them in the US, fresh out of college. They obviously fancied themselves as future record company executives, complete with designer clothes, haircuts, and even designer glasses. Not to mention, Billy G pass is not dissimilar to the one that the vicar had created for himself. They were at number 11 on the stressometer. There's a scene in a Bond movie, Never Say Never Again, I think it is, where Bond is playing a game that sends electric shocks into the controls that he's holding, slowly raising the levels of pain as he goes along. These 2 were in the red zone. You could almost see their hair standing on end as the voltage was increased. And here, punksters, we face a small problem. I have no idea how to do dialogue where there are 3 people yelling all at the same time, not listening to a word that anyone else is saying, coupled with the constant sound of the telephone ringing off the hook. But hey, rule number 2 applies. No complaints about my grammar. So, we will boldly go where no punk has gone before, into the literary unknown, in alphabetical order. Arsehole!
Bugger me, this is serious.
Can't you just leave the frigging phone alone?
Damn, one of the tabloids has logged on.
Everybody shut up!
Fuck me, there's got to be someone to talk to.
God, this is a bitch.
Hell, leave the damn thing off the hook.
Idiot, don't talk to anyone.
Just thinking of something.
Cunt.
Okay, so I had trouble with Kay, but keep it quiet until Richard Breamore gets here.
Lovey, the trouble is, there's nothing to say.
Might I ask you to keep your hands off my arse? And so it continued. You get the general idea. A hive of absolutely useless activity. The vicar waited patiently for a chance to speak to the receptionist. He has this way of apparently being the most patient person in the world, while some unconscious part of his body language makes it very clear that he is not accustomed to being kept waiting. Perhaps it's the way that he refuses to do anything other than remain totally focused on the waiting. Everyone else becomes distracted. They get a coffee or sit down, or in my case, they stare at a talent. Like the receptionist, for instance, with whom the vicar was to have frequent battles over the coming weeks. She was sitting on a raised area behind a large curved desk. Well, I mean, not exactly a desk, more like a bar, all painted in a cool blue colour to tone in with the walls. The BHBB, or blue-haired booby bird, had a large blue streak in her blonde hair to make it match with the furnishings. Hence her name. Well, I mean, it explains the blue-haired bit. I'll leave the booby bit to your imagination. Although she didn't.
Good afternoon, I am the vicar.
He'd walked over and lifted the phone off the hook.
I have come at the request of Richard Bremore. I shall be working with Billy G on the tour of Japan.
Yeah, well, Richard Bremore isn't here at the moment, and when he gets here, there's a long queue of people wanting a bit of him. One of the two rude arseholes would cut in. Can't you see we've got a crisis on our hands? The vicar leant over and looked at the little prick's pass.
I see you are in PR, he said, reading the name. Michael, a tough job at present. You will achieve nothing until you lower your levels of stress. Look at your shoulders. They're so uptight.
And with that, the vicar began to massage the young guy's shoulders. Hey, wait, the guy began, but he gave up. He was in the grips of a superior force.
Now, how may I be of service to you?
The vicar asked the guy. I'm sorry? The guy replied, clearly completely fazed by this old man who'd come in, started giving him a massage and was now offering to help him.
I have been employed by Richard Bremore to help Billy G with her problems. It would seem that you have currently a number of difficulties. How may I be of service?
Still, no reply.
It may be, for example, that you are concerned with the woman outside.
The vicar continued. This suggestion received an instant response, not from the young guy, but from his partner in crime, a girl of similar age.
What are you talking about, dopehead? We've got a major horror on the internet and you think we're worried about some deranged fan?
The vicar appeared not to notice her rudeness or aggression. He continued very calmly to pour more oil on the troubled waters.
Now we are getting a little closer. And what exactly has happened on the internet, pray tell?
You haven't seen it? I thought the whole world and his mother had been there, she replied. If you want to gloat, be my guest.
She wrote something on a piece of paper and handed it to him.
Go sample the action, but you can't do it here. The whole system is down while they sort out what has happened.
You should learn to trust the good fairy, young lady,
the vicar said.
If you become too cynical, when she comes knocking, you might just slam the door in her face. I shall return.
And with that, he bowed to the arsehole that had got the free massage, smiled at me, motioned me to walk out through the door ahead of him, and made his exit from the building. It was an amazing performance. Vintage vicar. Within a few minutes, he'd reduced a complete clusterfuck to the silence of a Zen monastery. Yeah, well, almost. Right, I'm off for a piss.
That boy's not cool. He's got ears the size of a deer. Vocals on a twisted face with a voice that
One of those moments when you feel this sudden surge of power just falling in his wake. Like Hugh Hefner must feel when he snaps his fingers and 50 women instantly drop their bikinis.
Hello, I'm Samantha. I'll be a waitress for the evening. My hobbies are windsurfing and dressing in skimpy clothing. If you have anything I can do for you, just pull on my skirt. Have a nice meal.